Race number 9 of the Amp Energy Racing Series 2014 season will be held at Miami for the Lucas Oil 200. In the qualifying race, Nicholas Hierski was turned head-on to the outside wall at 201 miles an hour, and Hierski was hospitalized, but he was alright in the hospital. He's going to miss a couple races. AAA pole award will go to Mike Oppenheimer in the 99. He would take the green with Luke Kinzen in the 4 with a special A&W paint scheme to his outside. Chad Lipinski 3rd, Todd Bradshaw 4th, and Nick Dawson 5th. Down to turn number 1, 3 wide for 2nd already. Looks like Lipinski and Bradshaw are going to go right by Luke Kinzen in the 4 off the get-go. Jonathan Ringer had a loose lug nut at the start of the race. He had to come into the pits and serve a penalty for that. And here we have Darcy Lusk in the 44 making his first start of the year. It's race number 9. Lusk now making his first start of the year. It's not his first career start. He's made a couple of starts for JN Motorsports in the past. His first start for Carson Racing, however, and he'd be running in the back. Barry Juveno in the 52 is running a brand new Taco Bell scheme. That team picked up Taco Bell as their main sponsorship for the rest of the year. Juveno actually doing really well this year. Not many would have predicted this, and he's currently running in the 7th position in that Taco Bell Dodge. Our point leader, Nate Smith, once again started in the back. As you see, trouble up ahead of him. That's his teammate, actually, Carson Crompton, that just got hooked into the outside wall by Ross Lowry, it looks like. And on lap number 4, we have our first caution of the race. The 84 goes up into the wall, and he's going to land on his side and eventually tip over. And surprisingly, he would keep on going. You see, he runs into Casey Lester a little bit, then Lowry gets into him, into Luis Tellez they go, and up into the outside wall, hitting that safety barrier they go. And obviously, safety was a huge concern this weekend after Hierski's qualifying wreck. And we'll have to see what happens as we have pit stops, as half the field would, actually, you know what, less than half the field would come in. Mike Oppenheimer would keep the lead with Nick Dawson behind him and Todd Bradshaw in 3rd, but as you see, a couple guys have lost their positions due to pit stops. On lap 9, we would restart the 99 with his teammate Jonathan Ringer to his inside. We see Todd Bradshaw, that's also Oppenheimer's teammate, in 3rd, and Ricardo Blanco has cracked the top 10 as well in his number 08. So, Op Inc. having a strong day, despite the 0 having a rough start to the race. As we see, this is the 16 of Justin Pisani in a brand new scheme. He has fallen off the past couple of weeks, but right now running in the middle of the field, so not much better. So we'll see if he can pick up any ground in this one. He currently sits, I believe, 9th in points. Nick Dawson has passed Mike Oppenheimer for the lead. Dawson is a rookie in this series. He has some experience, however, as he drove a bunch of races last year, but he's passing a sophomore driver, Mike Oppenheimer, for the lead. Oppenheimer has retired the past couple of races, and he definitely needs to see his season turn around. We mentioned Darcy Lusk at the top of the video, and he's up to 7th in that number 44 Jimmy John's Lincoln, and definitely doing work as he's passed a couple of cars. Might have been from the pits, but he's definitely moving his way up through the field. So a sign of things to come for that guy, as he is running strong here at Miami. It looks like Oppenheimer's going to look under the 22 here down the front straightaway. It doesn't look like he can get enough to get by him. A couple laps later, here he is again as they're trailing Oppenheimer's teammate Jonathan Ringer. Looks like he's going to get under him this time, as this is good for Ringer, who's looking for his lap back. Down the back straightaway, will he get him? Doesn't look like it once again. So trouble passing early on. See his teammate Todd Bradshaw right behind him. Bradshaw obviously had a very down week at Darlington, and he's definitely rebounding so far. Ricardo Blanco has found his way into 5th. That makes Op Inc. 2-3 5th right now on the leaderboards, and then 36th for Jonathan Ringer. But he's got his lap back, so that's always a good sign. Casey Lester 2nd in points. Another strong run for this 87 car, finds himself in the 4th position. Lester seemingly has not failed at all this year. However, he has 2 bad finishes, and he's qualified out of the top 10 once this season. So the 87 team still going strong here at Homestead-Miami. Tim Averill in the 21 is battling Tyler Deefer for, I believe, the 9th position. Averill, 29th in the points. He's had some solid runs. A lot of laps led, but Averill not getting the finishes he would like to see. Hopefully that changes for him this race. 3 wide for the lead as one of those cars is obviously a lap car, but it looks like Mike Oppenheimer's finally going to get around the 22 of Nick Dawson as they catch up on Carson Crompton in the 84. Crompton holding up Dawson. They are kind of teammates, so that's obviously not what that team wants to see, as Casey Lester has now jumped into the fray. He is now looking under Dawson for 3rd, so Dawson goes from 1st back to 4th in a matter of about 30 seconds. As we go back to the front, 3 teammates. Here's Todd Bradshaw looking under Mike Oppenheimer for the lead. He's going to take it, and off turn number 4 slots in right behind Jonathan Ringer in the 0. Barry Juveno and Alan Reeds look like they're into each other. Lap 26, our second caution of the day has flown. Barry Juveno has just taken out Alan Reeds in the 19. Reeds has run very strong the past couple of races after a horrid start, and Barry Juveno has just taken him out of this one. So Alan Reeds looks like he will be the first car to retire in the Lucas Oil 200. Unfortunate break for him, but we'll see where that drops him in the points, as he was 6th. Pit stops occurring under the yellow. Looks like Nick Dawson's going to get a couple of those positions back. Comes out 2nd. As we see a couple cars a lap down. Those were from penalties for speeding under pit road. That was actually a huge concern in this one. A lot of guys were getting penalties for speeding because of the weird pit entry we were seeing this weekend. But nevertheless, the restart would be fairly clean at the front, but a mess in the back. As you see right here, Darcy Lusk has to go in for his penalty, slowing up the field behind him. He comes in for a stop and go. Unfortunate break for that team, as he was running pretty well in his debut this season. Oppenheimer once again having troubles getting around Dawson in the 22. Eventually it looks like he's going to look under him with help from his teammate Ricardo Blanco. Todd Bradshaw in the lead as Blanco just ditches Oppenheimer. And right here we see Oppenk 1, 2, 3 possibly. And no, we're going to have a yellow flag. It looks like Gerald's was into the wall. Trout and Simmons down to the inside wall. And they come up the racetrack into everybody. Sliding up the racetrack. We're going to have to get another view of this to see who is in it. Looks like Davis and Gerald's get together. And in turn number 2, Gerald's rides the outside wall. Very slow, 4 wide a little bit. And that sends the 3 car and the 03 into the wall. Up the racetrack they come. And into Carter and right in front of Gerald's. Gerald's is actually going to get through this one. Let's go on board him, actually. As you see, he just gets forced up in the outside wall by Davis. Don't know who is at fault for that. It's kind of hard to tell. Right there you see the 03 hooking the 3 into the inside wall. They go. Hard hits for both of them. Up the racetrack into Carter and Sauer. And that's an unfortunate break for those guys. Nowhere to go. We're going to take another look at this. Looking at Simmons up the racetrack. He gets into Carter, Sauer, and Scranston's going to get in there as well. So we're going to take a look at Michael Carter here in the 39. Brand new Amp Energy paint scheme for him. And there goes his day. Scranston in there. 5 cars involved in this one. 6 if you want to count Gerald's, but nowhere for those guys to go, as their days are now ruined. Scranton, more bad luck for the Dollar General Buick, and he actually might have got the worst of that one, and he would retire from the race. On board Sean Donnelly as he avoids the 14. Up the racetrack comes Trout, and he just pooped his pants as he avoids that one. So lap 41, it looks like Todd Bradshaw is in the lead still, and he has Nick Dawson behind him. Mike Oppenheimer got a slow start in 3rd, and Ricardo Blanco looks underneath him right away in the 4th position. So Bradshaw leading, as lap cars not being too gracious. They are fast. They might be even faster than the leaders right now. So Dawson uses that to his advantage and is going to get around Todd Bradshaw in the 98. That's Brian Hensler in the 10. He is a lap down. That's Luke Kinsen in the 4 is a lap down. The 18 is also a lap down, and I believe the 44 is a lap down as well. from that penalty earlier. Bradshaw and Dawson continue to battle it out on the racetrack. And there goes Bradshaw underneath with help from his teammate Ricardo Blanco. And down the front straight, it looks like the 18 and 98 may have made contact. But nevertheless, the 98 has taken the lead away. And the 08 and 22 now do battle for the second spot. Bunch of lap cars in there. And it looks like eventually Ricardo Blanco is going to get shoved up the racetrack a little bit by Dawson. And he's going to stay in third. Dawson's not giving up that position that easily. But back to the inside goes Blanco. And 3 wide once again for second, with Luke Kinzen a lap car in the middle, as Bradshaw is actually broken away from these guys. So this one can just stay caution free the rest of the way. I believe Bradshaw is in the driver's seat, but unfortunately for him, it looks like the yellow flag is waving from the flag stand. So we're going to have to see what happens here, as there goes the 4 car into the outside wall. Caution originally for oil on the racetrack, but Kinzen turned hard into the outside wall by Nick Dawson, and Dawson gets taken out by a lap car, similar to the Hyersky wreck in the qualifying race. Kinzen hard into the outside wall, 180 mile an hour impact, and Luke Kinzen takes out Nick Dawson with him, and those two obviously retire. That's a hard hit into the outside safer barrier. And the 4 slides on the racetrack. Luckily was not hit by anybody else. Hopefully he is alright. On the restart, once again, it is Todd Bradshaw leading. Another good start for him as he breaks away from Ricardo Blanco. Don't know what happened to Mike Oppenheimer in the 99, but it looks like he is not in the top 3 or 4 anymore. There he is in 7th, I believe. And we're looking at Jeff Parshall, who's hard in the outside wall, caught in the safer barrier, and Ross Lowry is taken with him. The red flag would fly as the safer barrier broke, and that's why Parshall's car just suddenly flipped over. And wow, that was a major hit for the 5, unconfirmed on his medical status. Ross Lowry climbed out of his car all right. Parshall was transported to a local hospital, but don't know the condition on him. He is all right. For the most part, he's not dead, so that's good. So under caution, we'd have more pit stops, and we see the field coming out. Casey Lester, there he is in the 87. He's fallen off a bit. David Lee Bibbs in a nice stop for the 57 team. That's Nate Smith, our point leader in the 83 that just came out. And we see the rest of the field filing out. There's Barry Juvenile, looks like he's the last one out. On the restart, Jonathan Ringer would be our leader. He stayed out. So did Mac DeCario in the 96, who started last, who's having not his best race. He's not been at the front at all. Looks like Kenny Gerald has just taken David Lee Bibson out, and he catches Sean Donnelly in there as well. Donnelly's teammate Luis Tellez came into the pits on lap 64, and Gerald just didn't check up like everyone else. He runs into, I believe that was our point leader, Nate Smith, takes David Lee Bibson out and takes Sean Donnelly with him as we're going to go on board Jerry Richardson. There goes the 14, just dive bombs into Bibson, and looks like Richardson just barely avoids his teammate. And, well, that was honestly, obviously a weird wreck, as Luis Tellez just dived into the pits. I believe he got a penalty, and on the restart, it'd be once again Jonathan Ringer leading, but he would not be uncontested, as here's his teammate Todd Bradshaw, who is all over his back bumper through 3 and 4. These two looks like they've broken away from the pack a little bit here, and third is Mac DeCario, so they have broken away a bit, as Bradshaw looks under the 0 once again for the lead. Passing very difficult thus far in this one, but it looks like through the front straightaway he will lead the lap and take the lead away from his teammate. Op Inc. having a very solid day. In this one, is Ringer battles hard on the outside off turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Bradshaw's not got him cleared just yet, but through 3 and 4 this lap looks like he's going to, and that'll be it for that battle. Smoke on the front straightaway. Let's see what happened. Chad Lipinski looks like he was turned. I don't know how. It looked like Oppenheimer got in the wall and everyone just checked up. So on lap 75, Lipinski goes for a spin. No caution on the racetrack. Who is that riding the wall? That is Luis Tellez. Don't know what happened there. But yes, Mike Oppenheimer dives into the pits. Unfortunate break for him. Another good run turned sour as the 99 had some damage from hitting the wall. Back up front, we see Bradshaw and Ringer still duking it out for the lead. Hensler in the way now. Jason Miller in the 7 has worked his way up into the top 5. He's battling with Keith Davis and Herb Cilantro for 4th. Casey Lester in there as well. This is a great battle. Keith Davis in the 88 currently has it. Miller right behind him, Cilantro, and then Lester. And we see Alex Yates in the 1 lurking right behind those guys. Yates, another solid run. Ringer, Bradshaw, and Averill are the top 3, and they're battling it out still as Ringer is now taking the lead back from Bradshaw. Great run by Ringer after that loose lug nut to start the race, and he went a lap down, battled back, got the lap back, and now he's in the lead. But he's caught Carson Crompton in the 84, who was very slow after the lap 4 wreck he was in, and it looks like he's going to give him a lot of trouble. Down to the inside, cuts off Brian Hensler, and the 0 finally clears the 84. Bradshaw now stuck behind him, and Averill has snuck into the 2nd position. A couple laps later, Averill underneath Jonathan Ringer for the lead as he uses Brian Hensler to his advantage as they go 3 wide down the back straightaway. And into turn number 3, Hensler almost got into the 0. And Bradshaw is right there. And look who snuck into 4th. That is Jason Miller, who has caught these guys. And he's going to help Todd Bradshaw past his teammate. And the whole field has actually caught these guys once again. There's Keith Davis in the 88 and Casey Lester in the 87. But Jason Miller now to the inside for 2nd. Miller, a very solid run from him. The last time he was up at the front this often was at Saskatchewan last season. He led most of that race before a tire took him out of the running of that one. He was up front at Darlington last week but couldn't hold on to it, and he's obviously struggled lately. Casey Lester has found his way up into the top 4 as he passes Keith Davis on lap 92. 87 has been quiet in this one, but unfortunately for the competition, still lurking up in the top 10 as he has been all season. He's underneath Todd Bradshaw right now as they work on getting to the 7 and the 21, who has broken away from these guys just a little bit. But here he is. Down the front straightaway, looks like he's got a couple car length lead over Jason Miller, and these two have pretty much have their own pack here as the rest of the field dukes it out for 3rd. Casey Lester now owns that position, and the 21 and 7 go down the back straightaway into turn number 3. The 7 has caught him. Nathan Smith, our points leader, has found his way up into the top 8 as he's going to need a solid run if he wants to keep this point lead from Casey Lester in the 87. Lap 96, Jason Miller has taken the top spot away from Tim Averill. Casey Lester has fought to, looks like, 2nd place, and Jonathan Ringer has made his way back up into the 4th position and probably 3rd as Brian Hensler actually was going to ruin that for him as he takes the inside group. But Miller and Hensler are teammates, so we'll see if that plays into effect at all. Hensler obviously a lap down. Jonathan Ringer has made his way into 2nd as he's passed the 87 Aflac Ford of Casey Lester down into turn 3. And Lester is going to back off and give him that spot slotted right looks like Averill's actually going to go underneath the 87. Unscheduled stop for Mac DeCario as he comes into the pits, has to take 2 tires, and that kind of that won't really ruin his day too much. The leaders still have to make another pit stop, so he's just on a slightly different strategy. We'll see where he ends up. Battle for 2nd still very heated as Tim Averill is now looking underneath Lester and Ringer, 3 wide for 2nd. Lester still battling. Ringer doesn't look like Averill will be able to get that spot, though. Jimmy Cohen in the 92 has made his way into 5th. Another quiet run for him. Here's Will Legge, and his engine grenades on lap 103. Will Legge finally having a run that is decent, and that blows up. So the 15 still not having the success he wants. That's unfortunate for that team. They've worked hard all year, and obviously not what they wanted to see. 84 car being a hindrance once again as Miller tries to get around him. That has allowed Casey Lester in the 87 to catch him, and Lester is battling the 84's teammate for the point standings championship, and he's not really helping his teammate by holding up Miller and allowing Lester to catch him like that. But nevertheless, second place has been taken by Averill a couple laps later, so it didn't matter too much. Keith Davis is going to follow suit, and the 87 is going to fall back a bit here as we continue to go on. Looks like Ringer has fallen out of the running order. We'll have to see what happened to him. But Lester currently sits 3rd now as he is following Tim Averill, making up some points on Nate Smith. Ringer is in the pits, and it looks like that's just his strategy, so he's in. And the next lap he'd actually come back in because of a lug nut. Once again, the 0 has to make another stop. All that ground he made up lost just like that. He had to make 2 separate stops while everyone else is just coming in now. Green flag stops begin on lap 120. Herb Cilantro leads the first group in. And it looks like next lap Jason Miller is going to come in the 7 car, and Brian Hensler's teammate just wanted to say hello there. Don't know what that was about, as Keith Davis now assumes the lead, but he will obviously have to make his stop. He will come in this time by in that number 88 car. So Davis relinquishes the lead for the time being, and he makes his way down the pits. This gives the lead to Jason Miller, who, after pit stop cycle out, he would take the lead away. Tim Averill looks like he's going to dive under Davis for 2nd, and so pit stops doing wonders for Miller. He keeps the lead. Herb Cilantro makes his way up into the top 5 as Cilantro fell off a bit early in that run, has made his way back up into the 3rd position. Cilantro hasn't had his best season, but definitely looks like he seems to be turning things around here. As we take a look at Nate Smith, who has actually found his way into the lead pack, currently sits 6th and is ahead of Casey Lester, so growing his points lead. Lester 1 spot behind him in 7th, and he is not in that lead pack though. He's all by himself, and this will obviously allow the 83 to keep the point lead if he stays where he is. Davis looking underneath Cilantro for 3rd into turn number 1. Doesn't look like he'll have a problem with that as he takes Todd Bradshaw and Nate Smith with him. Good for Nate Smith, as any spot he gains more points on the board between him and Lester, who still has not caught this pack. I don't think he will. Averill all over the back bumper of Jason Miller as we near the end of this race. Looking underneath him, will he make the pass? Doesn't look like he has enough. Off turn number 4, will he? It doesn't look like it. He'll just slot in right behind him as we take the 2 to go. Chad Lipinski in the way slightly of Averill. Davis now looking underneath, doesn't get it done. They get by Lipinski. Averill looking underneath Jason Miller. Off turn number 2, 2 laps to go, side by side for the lead. Davis comes down to help him. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it this time by. Coming to the white flag, Jason Miller takes the white flag. They're catching up on Luis Tellez. Will that play into this at all? Through 1 and 2. Davis now looking underneath Tim Averill. Averill does not have enough to get him through those corners. Down the back straightaway, Miller has distanced himself just enough. Down into turn number 3, it looks like Averill slightly catching him. Davis to the inside of Averill. This is going to allow Jason Miller to break away. Jason Miller gets his first career win. He wins the Lucas Oil 200. So Jason Miller gets his first career win at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Tim Averill finishes second. A rebound run for him. Keith Davis third. Nate Smith somehow found his way up into the top 10. Once again, Smith and Lester have been very consistent all year. Todd Bradshaw 5th. Herb Cilantro 6th. There's Lester in 7th. Alex Yates, another solid run for him. He was quiet all day. He finishes 8th. A couple guys we don't really see too much in this series. Frank Harris finishes 9th. Harris has actually qualified for all the races this year, and he finally gets his first top 10. Solid showing from him. And then Clyde Lattinger in the 04, who was last in points a couple weeks ago, has found his way into a top 10. His first career top 10. Clyde Lattinger for Webler Motorsports. Great run for him. Great for that team. As we flip to the points, Nate Smith now has a 17-point lead over Casey Lester in the 87. Mac DiCario third, 61 points back. Looks like these three have broken away from the rest of the field now, as Ricardo Blanco sits 4th. Davis moves up to 5th. Yates falls to 6th. Juveno 7th. Pisani up to 8th. Carson Crompton falls to 9th. Herb Cilantro and has moved his way up to 10th. And Alan Reed has actually fallen out of the top 10 after that 42nd place finish, and he sits 11th. Not on screen, obviously. Next race, dual races at the Los Angeles Street Course. Should be a great race. Stay tuned.